There's a lot of fantasy in the world, but there's enough of the fantasy that I want to see in the world. And so I wrote a book. The book is about 5 young adults who have just entered adulthood, right? They just turned 20. Technically, they just entered adulthood, right? They're all coming from a state of adolescence into now you are responsible. You receive this power, you're now responsible. Now you have to be a part of society and work to help contribute to society. And so I wrote that from that point of view, that vantage, that I now have to go do these things that I don't necessarily want to do. On top of that, they've all been thrust into a prophecy that has been thousands of years in the making that nobody, and they've all felt it, but nobody knew that this was happening, that there were changes being made specifically for this intent. And so they have to figure it out. They have to put the clues together and then figure out who did it. At the same time, there's magic. I made a magic system. Each of these 5 people, they're all representations of each their own kingdom, which are the 5 elements, right? So each represents their element. So you have water, and yes, the elements do represent personality trait. I stole that from Avatar, yes I did, because I love that too. That was an epic story. But I stole that from Avatar. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I did, but it's not the same. You have the Sanguis, they live in Onin. They are the nation of Onin, right? They live in a volcano, and they control fire. Now, their control of fire, right? They don't see fire as being, well, fire is not this dangerous thing. Fire is the giver of life. They're healers, right? So they all, in each society, they're a breakdown of things that are necessary in order for society to work, right? You have healers, you have growers, you have warriors, you have, I guess, bureaucrats. You have people that do jobs other than this, but their magic is used to do this, right? In the grand scheme of things, because their magic is used to heal. So the character that represents the Fire Nation, he's a doctor. He's the healer. He's been assigned to be the healer of his section of people, right? Because it's been broken into sections. And so that's what he does. Their family is very close, right? Sanguis. They're like, imagine Dragon Kin, I think it's called, from Dungeons and Dragons. I don't feel like there's a Dragonborn, I want to say. Right? So body of a dragon, right? Anthropomorphic, that's the Sanguis. So they look scary, but they're the nicest, sweetest. They're like teddy bears, and they're healers. Then you have water. Now, people usually think water is weak and submissive, right? Because that's how Korra was in Legend of Avatar, right? Not Korra, Katana, right? Katara, my bad. Katara in Aang's story, right? Of Avatar. She was more submissive. Nobody said she wasn't powerful, but she was submissive. And so here, water is not that. Water is the aggressor in the story. They set out a war to control everybody else. I guess you could say that they were the Fire Nation, right? But it's a little bit different because of their reasonings and what they're going to do. They are not successful, and you'll see that in the book. Oh, they're blue, their hair is white. And so they don't just move water around and stuff like that. They can do that. But that's like a level 1 power. Level 2 power is to basically be able to put that magic into, basically make the water molecules solid. So the water is normally liquid, they can make it solid. And not like ice, but I just mean solid. It functions like ice, but it's not cold like ice. It's just water, all right? It can be released and put back as water, but that's what they do. And they can also change the density of it, right? So if they want a hard metal-like sword made out of water, that's what the army uses, all right? They are cold, they are distant, they are like crabs in a barrel was the thought. Pretty much, they're not really nice people. Majority of them not nice people. They were normal at a time, but then things happened and they just became cold, distant, fake people, right? They smile, but they really don't mean it. Then you have Vashtian. All right, so Vashtian, she is, now I've had a lot of names for this species. I don't know why, but I had a lot of names for them. But she's a Zosu, from the nation of Zosu. Oh, I'm sorry, so the water. You go back. So the water people are a nation of, they are the Nais, all right? And they are from Oram. Oram is the water kingdom that has been sunken. All right, now you have the Zosu. So the Zosu are, so instead of just air, they're the air part, but it's also spiritual at the same time. So their powers mainly focus around telekinesis and astral projection. So they can astral project things. They can make the astral projections solid. They can astral project what's called their Imi, which is like their soul, so the astral projection form of their body, right? And then They can also, yes, they can fly. They have telekinesis. They can fly, stuff like that. And so they all live spread across, right? They're not in one place. Aram is in the underwater. Sanguis is in the volcano, right? They're spread across the plains of ZuDrai, which is the world that they live in. They're spread across the plains, and they all live in what was called the Hades, right? Now, it's a building that is representative of a mosque. So think of a mosque, right, but with no ceiling. So it's open. And the reason why it's open is because they're one with the sky. So their deity is this, right? Sky deity. So he created the heavens. So when people die, but if they do something like really epic, let's say they were a king or a queen, or they invented something, or they were a great warrior, something like that, right? They get to go and they become an Ephan. All right, not every ancestor is the Ephan, but some of them are, right? They're Ephan. And in their version of heaven, right, they get to stay in touch with the world in a sense, but then so they can come down and bless people and help and stuff like that. But mainly they stay away and they can see what's going on and happening. Well, not really bless and interfere. So they can come down and talk to people if they ever so choose to. They normally don't, because a lot of them are old already, so they don't really know these people. But if they just so choose inclined to, they can come down and talk to you, right? Tell you, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I see for you and all this stuff, right? And then the other part of their power is that the Zosu are the caretakers of the Ephan. So again, the Ephan is KL. Well, their deity is called KL, right? Their Orius is called KL. He is, so think of Hades, but the opposite. So how Hades is in the underworld, and he's supposed to make sure that all the souls stay there and they don't get out, and that's pretty much his job. But he's kind of cranky about it because he didn't choose to do that. So this is the opposite. So KL is the caretaker of the Ephan, but he set his people that he created to do it. They take care of the Ephan, right? They're located in heaven. So look up in those stars at nighttime. They come down a little lower, and they're actually spheres that contain the Ephan's world. Now, when the Ephan pass, they get a sphere. They go up to the sphere. They ascend, and then they have a world that's pretty much their own little slice of land, right? So if they want to have a mansion, it's a mansion. If they want a forest that leads to a lake and they could just run around and hunt creatures and stuff like that, that's what they want, right? You want a yacht, you're chilling on a yacht, right? So that's your little slice of land, right? If your Zosu comes and they make tea, or they'll run around with you if you want. They're just companion. They're there to just imagine old folks home, and you have a CNA or somebody, well, not a CNA, but a visitor who comes just to specifically just chill with you and get you stuff if you ask, or if that's what you want. And so Ephan and are from every kingdom, right? Doesn't matter. So if you were in Ais or Sanguis or Zosu, it does not matter. They're all up there in the heavens, I guess. Normal, regular people, I don't know. You worrying about the wrong thing. Anyways, so now then you have, what is it called? Then you have, what is that? Oh, and like I said, the 80s is spread out. Their personality traits is that they're pretty nice, very open and welcoming. If you're on travels and you pass the 80s, you can literally stay there overnight. Your whole party can stay there, right? They'll bath you, they'll feed you. They're just like, they're peaceful. They're cool, right? As long as you don't get in their way of being able to serve the Ephan, they're peaceful people, right? Open, like monks. And then you have the kingdom of Akbara. These are the species, the Praetus, right? This is exactly what it sounds like, predators. That's because that's what they are. Oh, I'm sorry. So the motif of the Zosu are like moths, right? They're purple. Their skin is purple. They have markings and stuff. When they go to the Emi form, it's representative of a moth, right? So they have moth wings and antennas, and they're translucent, glowing and translucent. But their skin is purple. Shades of purple. You might have light purple, but purple. And then you have the Praetus, right, of Akbara. So they live in the forest. They're green. They are leopards. And so body of a leopard, anthropomorphic. Now, what's special about them is the fact that they are a warrior, like a hunter-gatherer, right? So they're the hunters. They don't need gatherers because they all do. Again, every society breaks down to having each of these roles. But they have a standing army. They've always had one. They always will. And they protect their forests because they don't want nobody else to go in there, right? And so the idea of the forest and the idea of them is that not that they're cold, but they're fearsome. They're powerful. They're strong. Natural force. If you think of a tiger or a lion, that. So they love their family, right? They protect, but don't mess with them. They're natural forces. And so I want to say I covered all 5, so that's all of them. Oh, and they ride snakes. So snakes like that have arms and legs and claws and stuff. So what is it called? A raptor. So like a raptor, but a longer body as a snake. That's what they ride. They ride those. They tame those. So that just lets you know how fearsome they are. And these snakes move so fast. They can wrap around those trees so fast, right? Because the forest is dangerous. The forest, it's in and of itself, will overgrow and capture you. It's alive. And so at the same time, when I made up this story, I'm a fan of Magic the Gathering, if you haven't gathered. And so Magic the Gathering, for me, well, each of their worlds, right? You have the Planeswalker. They all break down into, each plane is broken up into 5 pools of mana, right? So the mana has 5 different affinities. That's what I want to say. 5 different affinities, normally. I think actually 6. And so they're broken up into 6 different affinities, right? You have flora, earth, stuff like that. Well, flora, then you have colorless, then you have black, well, red, black, green, white, yellow, I want to say. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't know. I might have added my own. But so it breaks down into those. And so whenever you play a white, oh, I'm sorry, white. Did I say white? Right? When you play white, that's usually like life-giving. It works off of life, and it's more like angels and stuff like that. They all lion, and you have stuff like that, right? And then for black, those usually deal with death, necromancy, reanimation, taking life, stuff like that. Water, their spells are usually very smart, and so they function around spell, right? Intricate enchantments and spells, stuff that can multi-layered and very helpful, very intelligent, very strategic. Then you have, so those are blue. The reds usually like, yes, fire, but reds are usually just more aggressive. I can't think of any other words. Because you might have goblins, might have dragons, and more reptile creatures, stuff like that. Then you have blue, white, red, black, oh, and green. So green works around multiplication. The more that you have of a green, the more green that you have, right? They usually function more with lands. The more lands you have, the more power your green creatures have, or their ability to multiply, right? Sometimes they multiply. So it's either working with power with land or multiplication, or they help each other multiply. So more, big, a lot. That's what comes out. What comes with green. And so I've taken the concept and I put it into a book form. So Magic the Gathering, if you so choose to, if it sounds nice to use my story as a Magic the Gathering world, I am available. I'm here for that. Please do use it. It's there for you. But I wrote a book. It's about different black people and doing different things.